Alrighty, everyone. I think we'll probably get started and we'll have others kind of trickle in. Amanda and myself are part of the current committee for CKLDP this year. Um, as we go through the Q&A portion, feel free to ask questions within the chat or want to hold your questions towards the end. But we are very excited for everyone here that is showing interest into the CKLDP program, the Christopher Kelley Leadership Development Program, and we will be going over kind of what it's all about and some Q&A and get a little bit more familiar with the program. So with that being said, I'll go ahead and start. So what is CKLEP? Christopher Kelley developed a development leadership development program was started back in 2013 in AIA DC, and it was aiming to nurture the next generation of leaders. It is a program that is a year-long, 9-month session course where we select 16 emerging professionals as a way to essentially network and learn about developing and fine-tuning your leadership development skills. The prospective participants go through this application process where we select based on your previous career, your community involvement, and kind of other leadership qualities that we are looking for. But that being said, my name is Gerald Gui. I am going to be the chair for this year's cohort. I'm at Smith Group. I'm a from Texas Tech, and I was in the program 2 years ago. And I have about 12, almost 13 years of experience here in Texas. Those who are not on the call, Chris Pine, he is going to be our vice chair for the committee. He's from Stantec. He's from the graduate. He's from Michigan, and he's kind of been all over between Pennsylvania, Texas, and Michigan. Michigan, he's come back. He was in the last year's cohort. And as an advisory role, Belle Carroll, she will be our past chair within our committee. She's also a designer at Stantec, graduate of Rice University, has about almost 7 years of experience, and she's kind of gone a lot of ways within the industry, both the United States and in France. And so she's going to be an advisory role for the rest of the committee.
Hi, my name is Amanda. I am a designer at DLR Group. I graduated about 3 years ago from Iowa State and then moved down to Houston almost immediately after. I was a part of the cohort last year, but I'm staying on this year on the committee to be the communications advisor. And then someone else who couldn't make it is Bridget Weaver. She is an architect at Philo Wilkie right now. She also has kind of been all over the place in the US, but has 13 years of experience and was also a part of the cohort last year, but staying on for the sponsorship role.
So we will be your points of contact through the program as well as through the application process if you guys ever have questions. But in terms of the mission of our program is that we want to train and nurture the next generation of leaders. Christopher Kelley, the namesake of the program, was a very respected leader back in the DC area. He was the winner of the AIA Young Architects Award back in 2012. He had a very positive impact on the kind of professional field and different stages of their career. Very good mentor to those around him. Unfortunately, he did pass away, and is honored to honor his legacy. The Christopher Kelley Leadership Development Program was born, and it has expanded to many places within the United States. We are currently sitting at 10 locations throughout the United States. All have different kind of functions, but the essence is still the same between all of them, is to um, nurture the next generation of leaders. And in terms of Houston, we have been running this program since 2019. Um, and the program itself started back in 2013 as this program has expanded. But throughout the years, we've had a very different diversity and amount of people per year. So every year is different, and whether by gender or representative by their firm size. So in terms of the program diversity, what we're really excited about is people being able to network and meet others in their industry, coming from different perspectives and kind of getting more idea of like the industry themselves, and just kind of gaining that perspective has always been helpful in professional development. So, who is eligible? We Unlicensed applicants who are pursuing their licensure are eligible to apply. AIA membership is not required to apply. Um, Members of allied industries within their first 20 years of their career. So originally, this program was limited to just the architectural field, but we have since expanded as we want to give this a bigger outreach to the program. We would like to see where it's open to contractors, owners, representatives, engineers, interior designers, landscape architects, master planners, etc. And for our program, you need to be a resident of the Houston, Texas metropolitan area. And Amanda will be going over what is the process to apply to the program.
Yes. Okay. So when you go to the AIA Houston website, you'll be asked to turn in quite a few things. So the first is going to be the letter of interest in the program. This is more so touching on your past experiences and leadership and just way for us to get to know you overall, just to get to know your personality quite a bit better. And then moving on to letters of recommendation, there's a minimum of one required and a maximum of three. And we want these from kind of like a different spread of people. So from mentors, mentees, thought leaders, supervisors, or even clients. And then we will do your personal resume. And this isn't going to be like a typical firm resume. It's more to highlight your leadership experience, maybe your community involvement and industry involvement. And then just the agreement form, which is probably the easiest of all of these, is just going to be a few signatures. And then if you qualify for it, tuition assistance will be needed to be turned in during the application process as well. This is offered to AIA members at firms that are smaller than 10 people, but later on in this presentation, Gerald will touch on that a little bit more. So then as you have that all finalized, you will just turn it in through AIA Houston's website, along with thought out responses to 4 questions that cover topics like how you define leadership, issues and opportunities facing our profession, skills or knowledge you hope to gain, and also contribute to your cohort. All these 4 questions have a maximum of 250 word limit when you submit that. And the application is going to close Monday, June 29th at 11:59 p.m.
And as part of the commitment to this program, being fully transparent for both the scholar and applicants and the firm itself that you represent, is that as a scholar, attendance is mandatory as all 9 of our sessions are in person. Obviously, with the sign agreement form that you're going to send out to your firm, you're agreeing to participate in this program. Within the program itself, we understand that absences may happen, but there are some caveats there. Is that one excused absence is allowed with prior email notice. The second absence will result in a $50 fine towards your firm, and the third absence will result in another $50 fine, and you will be taken out of the program, unfortunately. The boot camp, which is the first session, and the final session, which is also the closing reception for the scholars, are mandatory attendance. And if you do not attend these two, you will be not part of the program. So this is part of the commitment that you are seeing as making sure that when you're looking at the schedule of what the sessions are and when they are going to be, this is something you should everyone needs to be aware about. But from the commitment from your firm is that there is a tuition payment. If you're an AIA member, it is $445. For non-AIA members, it is $535. And for, as Amanda mentioned, for if you are part of a smaller firm and or may require some tuition assistance based on what's needed, you can apply for that, and it will discount the tuition payment for the program. Um, it is and the agreement form is also from the firm's perspective is that they are agreeing to respect your time and allowing you to make the amount of time to go to this program. And in terms of the program itself, is that there are 9 sessions throughout the year. Um, as uh, as you can kind of see here, Lisa, on the quick calendar graphic here, um, applications are now open until June 29th at 11:59 p.m. We will be announcing the scholars and reaching out to them the week of the 20th. And the sessions themselves are typically the first or second Friday of every month, and they run from 12 p.m. to 5 p.m. with a happy hour afterwards. The happy hour is optional attendance, but is heavily encouraged because it allows you to not only network with your cohort, but if there are speakers at the session or sponsors that attend this session, this is where networking would also happen. And we are also inviting alumni from the CKLDP program to attend them if they're available. So it's a great networking opportunity. And the closing reception is May 14th in 2027. Um, but looking at these, each of these sessions have a different theme. So the first one is boot camp. Second one, our second session is working together. Third is entrepreneurship and business management. Our negotiation and closing the deal, community engagement, diversity, equity, and inclusion, trending now, expanding the definition of practice, and the last session would be mentorship and the future of you, which is also where the closing reception will be. In regards to the session development, as part of the CKLDP program, it is a peer-to-peer generated program. And what that means is that through this program, you'll be paired with a partner within the cohort, and you will be assigned one of these sessions to organize and come up with the curriculum for that said session. And what that means is that from this session development standpoint, you have the ability to choose and organize the size, the locations, and taking accounts like parking, for example, or and additionally like where the happy hour would happen. And then for the program itself, you and your partner would come up with what activities would be there in regards to your agenda, the timing of said agenda, and organizing with the AIA, submitting for AIA credits with going through that process as well. And in order to fund your program, part of the networking opportunity and learning it from a leadership development standpoint, you will be fundraising with your partner, uh, reaching out to sponsors to generate funds for your sessions if you need it. In terms of like booking certain locations, booking speakers, or finding locations, and etc. But the speakers itself for the program, you would also want to reach out within your network and try to find expert leaders, um, professors, studio thought leaders, previous clients potentially, other AEC adjacent point of contacts within the field, and either local or national, whether they're Houston or if you wanted to have someone, if they were willing to come down to Houston to be part of the program and help conduct part of your session, that would be part of the program agenda is trying to fit what kind of session you would like to plan. But that being said, how do you come up with the agenda? Is that this is why it's critical for the boot camp, which is our session zero, which will be September 11th, is an opportunity where your cohort meets each other for the first time, get to know each other, see where everyone's kind of backgrounds are coming from, but also it not only is it introduction to the course and the participants, it showcases the importance of the leadership within our profession. What we're talking about, we're going to go into more detail about how to set up your future sessions in the coming months, and it's an opportunity for you to do in a breakouts with your fellow cohort to basically set the agenda of what you as an individual six or new 16 cohort would like to talk about for each topic. And so during the boot camp, we do have this breakout session where every group is assigned to kind of workshop what would they like to talk about for these topics. So despite the topics having a certain theme, you and your cohort can definitely shift that narrative, like how you guys feel would be best serving your cohort, um, and try to talk about the topics that you would like to cover. And of course, we would also go over sponsorships and how that process works, as well as the review of the program templates, and access to how the program is run. Um, and then for session one, working together thematically, it's always been about kind of major components about how people work together. And it is up to you and the cohort and your partner to figure out what that means in your agenda. But it was at least for this past cohort, it was about addressing the individual, the group, and the city. So the session was organized where the first session was kind of going over traits and how people see leadership in their own eyes. And then second was talking about how to listen to essentially the group and how do you give feedback and receive feedback to each other. And the third was the city and how does that work with the city? The Houston Metro, as well as a HOK thought leadership director, came in to kind of give their viewpoints on how they see working together in terms of leadership. And this is kind of the format for this session. Session two, kind of entrepreneurship and business management. A lot of it was going over ethics and law and the contracts and codes to professional ed ethics and standards of behavior as it pertains to the profession. Uh, there's also a deep dive into kind of negotiating a contract, contractual pitfalls, and kind of stakeholder relationships.
Our third session was the art of negotiation and closing the deal, and this one really focused around the idea of relationship management. So whether that's diving deeper into tracking your own accomplishments or skills or values so that you can build your own brand, which can be better used later for things like salary negotiation, project negotiation, and then just also being able to set your team up for winning work. And then learning how to highlight these traits in yourself and in your teammates was the overall goal for that session. Moving on to session four, we had community engagement and area, learning ways to interact with the community and ways that speak better to them, because not one size fits all in those situations. We also were able to join a fireside chat with an architect and also a former superintendent of a school district, so we could see the perspective of the same question from both sides. And after that, we then broke into a small group with assigned roles of different community members to see how a range of voices can then impact the design. After community engagement, we had diversity, equity, and inclusion. We were able to join a universal design expert that was able to walk us through kind of the 12 steps to keep in mind when designing for inclusivity. We then got to take a tour of the venue we were at, which was at the Alley Theater here in downtown Houston. And then we walked through an exercise called Check Your Privilege, which kind of just set a reminder for ourselves to always remember perspective in every situation that you're in. After that one, we had Trending Now, which I got to lead with the vice chair this year, Chris Pine. We did ours at the Ismaili Center here in Houston. We broke this session out kind of into three parts. So kind of the past, present, and future of trends. We started with an architectural historian from University of Houston who walked us through the difference between a movement, a style, and a trend. And then we got to go on a tour of the Ismaili Center from the architect of record here at DLR Group. And then we came back to do a panel discussion with a former city council member and also a University of Houston professor that has a lot of knowledge on just the city itself. And Chris and I had asked questions on aspects in Houston that became so prominent due to the nature of Houston as its own community. We then finished off our session with a sustainability expert from Stantec, and they came and shared how sustainability actually shouldn't be seen as a trend that comes and goes, but the importance of why it should be included in our everyday practices. After Trending Now, we had the expanding the definition of practice. In this session, we got to meet with just a lot of different people in the industry that have all had a very non-linear career path. They all referred to their career not as climbing a ladder like we typically hear, but more as working their way through a jungle gym. While they all shared their career paths with us, they also talked us through when they thought they needed a career change and how they kind of prioritized their goals or the changes that they needed to make to feel more fulfilled in their life and in their career, and how that those changes could hopefully impact their personal value and being met more to feel more fulfilled in life. During this session, we were just constantly reminded that the most meaningful change is most likely going to be uncomfortable and that there's going to be a lot of growth at the end of the day with that. Our last session was the future of you, and this focused around learning the difference between already known solutions and adaptive solutions. So kind of ones that kind of the answer of like 2 + 2 = 4, we know that, but when there's a new situation that comes, how can we use all of our skills that we know to find a new solution to an unknown problem? And how sometimes with adaptive solutions, you may just need to, again, change your perspective to gain the clarity in it. We got to have a workshop with an organization that focuses on solving issues by breaking down a step-by-step reflective process that will help you gain kind of more internal insight on your own challenges and how you want to overcome them. And we also got to spend some time in breakout groups with people who have also had nonlinear career paths and discuss moments in their life where they had to choose between what they were okay with losing and what they wanted to lose in order to gain a new role or skill or career in general. And similar to how Gerald said earlier, you end that same session with the closing ceremony. So this will happen in the same exact space, but the nice part about it is you kind of get to celebrate with the people who surrounded you throughout this entire program. So you also get to invite a mentor, a mentee, and then a family or a friend to come be a part of the celebration. This is a moment where the committee for next year is also introduced and everything kind of kicks off for the next year coming in. So some common questions that we get that we just kind of want to get on top of now is, do you have to be licensed? So this is going to be open to unlicensed and licensed professionals. So anyone can join. And then do you have to be an AIA member? You do not. Professionals who are not AIA members are also eligible. There'll just be a tuition difference. Do you have to be an architect? No. Unlicensed are allowed. Licensed are also allowed. And then anyone in the allied fields are also allowed to join. What should I put on my application, or what does the selection committee want to see? Again, there's that list that you can also find on AIA Houston's website when you go for like the interest, letter of interest, the um, letter of recommendations, your resume, all of those will be included. But ultimately, what we want to know while we're going through these applications is just getting to know you better as a person and your relationship to the profession rather than it being kind of a, this is the project I worked on and this is what I did. We just want to get to know you more as a person.
And then one of the session questions that we get is, how does the session selection work? So there are kind of two parts of this process. So after being selected as part of the program and accepting kind of your commitment to the program, you will be asked what are your top three interested topics that you would like to participate and lead into the coming year. Um, so I would recommend, like, if upon the acceptance, you would pick your top three of what you're really like passionate about and would really like to kind of workshop together. And the committee, after the selections have been made, we will do our best to kind of pair you with a fellow scholar that has a similar goals and mindset of their selection. And we try and strive to get everyone at least in their top three of their selection. Obviously, there might be overlap, but we will do our best to make sure that all the timing of the sessions align. But given with your, and that's why we give you kind of your top, you will provide to us your top three choices. But you will work with your partner and organize the session throughout the year. Um, as we mentioned before, here's the kind of the tuition for both AIA and non-AIA members, and the reduction for the tuition assistance would be 200. Granted, you meet those requirements. We expect the CKLDP program to provide about 40 CEU credit hours spread over through the entire year. Not all the CEUs will count as the health, safety, and wellness credit as well. Just letting everyone know that. And um, the tuition assistance, even with if you do apply for it, we will kind of review that and making sure that you do meet those requirements. But will be at the discretion of the selection committee if it does come up.
If you're interested in knowing what an application kind of looks like, feel free to reach out to Gerald, Chris, Belle, Bridget, or myself, and we will happily share what we had submitted for ours. Or if you know anyone who has been in CKLDP any of the past years, they will most likely also be happy to share what their application had looked like.
And just as a reminder, as we kind of thank everyone for sitting through our Q&A, our kind of info dump about the program, is that the applications will be closed June 29th at 11:59 p.m. We will reach out to the scholars on July 20th, and September 11th will be our first boot camp. And before we kind of go into questions, kind of leaving it as the screen here, is that this will be the ninth kind of iteration of the program in Houston. So we are very excited to kind of continue the legacy of this program. But as you can see throughout the years, this is how many people have participated in. And as you may know, um, the community is small, but at the same time, it's very mighty of just like the wonderful people within it. So we are very excited to host the next 16 for the program of CKLDP 2026, 2027. So that being said, if anyone has any questions, feel free to please ask them. And I guess I will also say I did. Yeah. So if anyone has any questions, please let us know.
I guess I have a question. I'm
Yes.
currently also pursuing like my AREs.
hmm
How did you find juggling doing the CKLDP program while doing your AREs, if you did?
I think that's a good question to ask about because I think. So in terms of session planning, is that the brunt of your planning for your session usually happens the month before in terms of sponsorship for the program. So that's a level of commitment you would be kind of incurring during the program. But you obviously, if you're like session seven, for example, you and your partner can kind of pre-plan the session for as long as you would like throughout the year. But it's not until like the month of where you would start kind of reaching out to sponsors and trying to collect funds for your program. But in terms of so that's like a commitment there for in relationship to AREs, but also for the program itself, if you are not planning the session, you are just expected to show up during the session from 12 to 5. So it is once a month. It's on a Friday, and that would be the only commitment you would need to do beyond your session. So in a way, it is a long-term commitment, but it's not commitment like every day sort of situation. So I personally don't think it would impact your ARE scheduling. It would just kind of but it probably impact your month of your session that you get assigned.
I was studying and taking exams while I was in the cohort last year, and it's kind of just like a finagling of your calendar, but it is doable.
Understood. I was wondering like how many hours per week are you like putting into the CKLDP program? Or like how many
So,
study hours are you taking away is the real question.
um, I mean, it depends on your study schedule, I guess. But during like my month of planning, I kind of did put a pause on my ARE studying, but it was just for that month. I don't think outside of my month I paused on any of it. I was able to continue my regular study habits.
Understood. And another question, after completing CKLDP, are there any fees? You know how like in like lead and whatnot, you have to keep
No,
doing annual fees?
no, this is just a one-time program, and you do get a certificate upon your completion, but there is no expectation for any sort of fees to like AIA, or um, like registration of that nature. So no.
Thank you.
I will say that after you do complete the program, you will be part of the kind of CKLDP network where future committee members will reach out, and we do plan to have like AIA, or we do plan to have CKLDP um, alumni events as well. So to kind of re-engage and also just have the cohorts kind of reconvene, kind of like reunion type situations. So, but yes, does anyone have any other questions? All right. If that's the, let me see. Yeah. So if there are no further questions, we are very much excited. We are very excited to kind of see the applications come in. But please let us know if you have any questions, or if you would like some references of like what the application kind of looks like. Everything is fairly straightforward within the submission portal within the AIA website. But yes, please reach out if there's an issue with Jennifer Ward within the AIA. But yeah, we are looking forward to it. So that's the case, we can probably close the session out. And this recording will be available in the future on the AI website. So if you know someone else that wasn't able to attend, we will be able to share the link again. Um, and yeah, that will be it. And I guess everyone could go watch the World Cup now. So just kidding.
Cheryl, one more thing before you drop off. You had a
Sure.
slide where you
Mhm.
showed contact information. Would you mind sharing that slide again?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'll leave it here. So
Perfect. Thanks so much.
of course. All right, everyone. Well, thank you for your time and looking forward to it. So
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
thank
Thank
you.
you.